Welcome to USMLE SARTI. We are committed to empowering IMGs. We're excited to guide you on your match journey. Don't forget to click subscribe and turn on notifications so you can get notified whenever we add new content. Also, follow us on Instagram and Twitter for the latest tips and tricks regarding everything USMLE. Now, let's dive into it.
All right. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone, depending on your time zone, and hope all of you are doing well and getting ready to submit your IRAS applications or may have already done that. So that's the basic agenda for today. What do you do after submitting your IRAS application, and why interview preparation can be a deal maker or a deal breaker. So with that, I'm very, very privileged and happy to have one of our previously matched student, Dr. Ishani Trada, who actually matched in my neighborhood in Arizona. So she's going to talk about, her transition to residency so far, and why interview preparation, what kind of questions you should be expecting, all about, professionalism, attire, communication. So things that you really, really need to know about interview preparation. So this is purely focused on interview preparation, and this is one of the many webinars that we will do. And my team is also here, Sonia and Sneha. So, if you need any help, they will also post it. We will take questions. We will have another speaker, Dr. Aditya, also after a couple of, maybe after 15-20 minutes. But I know Ishani is very busy, so let's just dive in. You can ask questions on the chat. I'll try to answer them later as well. So welcome, Ishani. How are you doing?
Thank you so much, Pawan. I'm doing fantastic. Life is really well, and still feel like transition into residency, but it's fantastic.
So, why don't you tell us a bit about yourself, and then more importantly, it's been what, July, August, middle of September, I guess. So what are the challenges that you have seen as you transition into residency coming from India? Some good, maybe some not so good. How are you dealing with all that? So let's first start with your introductions.
So, hello everyone. I am first year family medicine resident in Arizona. And after starting residency, I would say my program is good enough that they provided us initial 3-month accommodation. So I didn't have difficulty in finding home. The first challenge would be once you match. First of all, after sending application, you need to prepare for interviews, and after you get done and after you match, the first thing would be you start looking for home, and then it's difficult because you are not here in the States, and then by virtual tour or video tour, you are signing a lease, and then it could come with a lot of questions and stuff. So some people decide to go with Airbnb for initial few days, and then so that they can personally look at the house and they can get settled down. Then the second challenge was about car, because we get our social security number initially, but our credit score won't be so good that we can get car with a good rate. So the interest rate goes really high. So I had to find someone who can help me out, somewhere with good credit record who is in US. Thankfully, I have my brother here, so he helped me signing car, and it was also difficult because I never drove. I never had car. So what to look for, how you can go, where you can go to lease car. Even in fact, I was thinking to come to Phoenix as well. I would have pinged you. I was thinking maybe let's go. They might have good deals. Anyway. Then getting license was also difficult because I do have international license permit, international driving permit, but I failed driving test 2 times. So I mean, I never failed any exam. I was never afraid of even USMLE exams, but this test is frightening me. So
I know.
that
I
is something.
failed my driving test, when 25 years ago when I came, I failed it twice.
I know. It's so, I mean, like, it's so funny, but that's also something that you need to prepare for, like where you are moving. If it is kind of city where you need to drive all the time, or you can get public transportation. Mine doesn't have a good public transportation. So initially, because we were living at the same apartments given by program, other co-workers and everyone could help, but now we need to figure out the situation. So that was a little bit challenging. And also, like, you need to, um, like, you are living independently by now. Like, if you are someone who never lived by yourself, it could be difficult in the terms like you need to manage everything, you need to do financing and finances and like manage, and that could be a little difficult as well emotionally too. Specifically the area I am living right here, it's very small community, doesn't it's not very dynamic in like other big cities, so there aren't many opportunities. And I am like I'm Indian person, so they don't have much Indian people around here. So that is also a little bit difficult. At workplace, thankfully, my program and everyone is really supportive. But sometimes you can feel like overwhelmed. If and they are also busy. Like sometimes, even if you get denied by senior or something, or if they are running late, or like some in some situation, they might just tell you to go to someone else and stuff like that. That doesn't mean that like they're not rude or something. But if, since you are new, you might get difficulty in asking around for help and stuff like that. So these are, I think, some of the challenges that I have noticed after matching.
Uh, Hopefully things will settle down, and our audience who's logged in can also learn. So yes, driving is a big challenge. Independent living is always a challenge, especially you have to
Mm,
cook your own food. Most of the times, every
mm.
day you cannot eat out. Although, of course, you are in Arizona, so I'm sure good Mexican food, which is very close to Indian.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
Meals
yeah.
and all. So, but yeah, there are these challenges. Hopefully, yeah, they'll be sorted out. And yeah, do visit Phoenix. We'll catch up. Okay, so now let's dive into the topic, which is interview preparation. So, first up, when should we start interview preparation? The RAS deadline is, let's say next Wednesday. So, when do you recommend students start? And why interview preparation is important?
Feel like as soon as you are submitting application, you need to be ready for the consequences that I am submitting my application right now. What if they send me interview like in next 2 days? Okay, so you should be ready for that. And like you can start prior to like 2 weeks of submitting application, so you have enough time. Gradually, like even I myself, I used to procrastinate and I used to delay the preparation. I would just lie down and think about what I can say during this if I get asked this question, and not actually saying it out loud. I would just think in my mind, okay, if they ask me this, I'm going to say this. If they ask me this, I'm going to say this. But that's not enough. Like I've realized that um very earlier, so thankfully. And one thing I would say, like, it's just off topic, but make sure you check your assigned documents, that you've assigned everything. I made that mistake last year. I've realized that after submitting my application and 1 week that I forgot to assign my USMLE transcript. So once you submit application, make sure everything is assigned, and be ready for the interviews. That even if you are getting interview invitation right away, if you're getting option to schedule it at your preferred date, that is well and good, but you will not have that chance for all the programs. Certain programs take interviews on only certain days, so you can choose. Sometimes you don't get choice, they'll just tell you that you have interview on this particular day. So be ready whenever you are submitting, that if they ask me, like, make sure you are practiced enough before submitting application.
Okay. So, and yes, so for those of you who want to know, I mean, we have started our interview preparation. Sonia or Sneha can give you links to our plan. So if you're interested, just take a look and we can help you. Now, what are the most common kind of questions you recommend students start with? I mean, of course, there is a whole list, but what should they start with?
One common question is about introduction, and then there will be, I think, two categories of questions. One would be about your personality, like your strengths, your weakness, and about your like some mistake you have done, some things you can improve and stuff like that. Then there will be one category that will be behavioral or situational questions, when they'll give you certain situation and they'll ask you what are you going to do, what would be your first step, and how you're going to manage the situation. So basically these two questions, and some interview sessions where like I gave 12 interviews, some sessions were totally driven by me. So they'll be just sitting over there and be like, okay, I'm program director, let me know if you have any questions or concerns. Just that, no questions asked. And you need to drive the interview for 15 minutes or 12 minutes or whatsoever, like the session limit is for. So you need to be ready for that situation as well, that now, okay, you are not being asked, you can't answer, but now you need to talk. What are you going to talk about?
Right. No, absolutely. How do you stay ahead of this, and how do you handle the unexpected kind of a question? So yeah, that very, very good points. And as you know, we do help with that. Now, the next thing is, your own story, or, one is personal statement, but the other is, maybe those examples you gave, how will you handle a difficult patient or a difficult attending, and tell me a time when you made a mistake. How easy or difficult it is for student to craft that kind of a narrative?
One thing that I have realized, you need to practice this question so well that you know that what is important to tell and what needs to be cut out. Because you are going to try to build a story in just 2 minutes. Like the ideal answer limit is, I would say 90 seconds, like 1 minute, 1.5 minute. But you are going to tell entire story. So whenever it comes to like, tell me a time, at 1 minute, if I'm just talking with a person without time limit, then I might go for like 3 to 4 minutes, because I have a habit of explaining everything in detail. But there you need to be mindful about time as well. So make sure that you practice it enough and with different people, because sometimes from your perspective it seems like, okay, this is important, I have to tell this, but it might not be important for that particular answer, what you are being asked. So you need to be very mindful. And if you are like, if you took so much time and if you can see on interviewers face that, okay, now they are kind of not interested in listening this more, so you need to have backup or like some kind of strategy to cut your answer and make it short and sweet, so that they also don't feel like you are just stretching it or you are like rambling answers, and so that you can just finish it in timely manner.
Okay. The other thing is, as you know, we also help our students using mock interviews, just one-on-one.
Mhm.
So how do you think, do these mock interviews, how do they help, help a student in cutting down what you said, extra things and being in a real life situation? How important are those practice sessions or mock interviews?
I have practiced with my friend, and I really recommend that you practice with different people, not with this just one person, so that you can get different recommendations, different advices that you can imply on. And other than that, when I practice with professional person, I realize that some of the advices we at our like applicant level, we might not get it, or the purpose of the question, like why they are asking this. And like sometimes your answer should vary, like even if it's the same thing, but you need to tell it in the different way. But how you can tell it, sometimes you might not be sure. And I have realized that in US healthcare system, there are certain terms that in a professional manner you can use, like evidence-based medicine, preventive-based care. And like these are certain things that you will know when you are when someone professional is advising you. So that could be really improved. Other than that, like feedback for every question is like, it was highly appreciated, because I wanted to know like which question I'm lacking, or like I always run out of time. Like I talk a lot and then I get like I don't finish my answer within that timely manner. So I realize that, because when you're practicing with your friends, it's like safe space for you. It doesn't stimulate the environment when you're talking with totally new person and the stress of the interview.
Okay. I guess the last kind of thing, what are the common mistakes? I think you covered some of it, but what are the other common mistakes you have seen applicants make in the interviews and all that?
Thing would be that they ramble a lot, and that's why you need to practice a lot. Second thing is, because I met like, see, in US healthcare system, everyone is like communicative. They love communication. Like they are sweet. Even at your workplace, whenever you go, you greet and meet, and everyone is very friendly, right? So sometimes they might not be focused on the content of your answer, but they just want to know how well you can communicate. So you can feel free. You don't have to stress yourself so much. You don't have to pressurize yourself so much. You can just use your humor. Like whenever, for all my interviews, this was my icebreaker line, that whenever they ask, okay, tell me about yourself, and I'm going to be like, I'm Ishani Trada. I was born and brought up in Gujarat, and Gujarati people are known to be eating more sugar. Maybe that's why they are more sweet by nature. That's what everyone says, but let's see how true it is. So, no one could resist that. Everyone laughed for all my interviews. Everyone laughed. So you can try to use humor also. Like you don't have to be okay, straightforward, like very stressed and only answer whatever they are asking. You can just try to have normal communication and feel like you're just talking, not answering.
Okay. Last question is about professional attire, dress. What are some of these tips you have? And also, given that this is a virtual interview season again, so the audio, video, lighting, background, all of that. So what tips do you have on that?
About professional attire, I don't like to experiment when it's like big deal. Otherwise, like I love dressing with different colors and stuff, but for it is a big deal, so I didn't want to experiment. I just went with the white shirt and blue blazer. For the bottom, since it's virtual interview, you can wear anything you want, but just for safe side, I wore professional trouser, because in case if they ask me to go and get something, or like
If you have to
sometime
get up,
during, yeah, if I have to get up to adjust anything or something, so I didn't want to like wear pajamas or something. Other than that, in background, so if you're going to talk about your hobbies, like I was going to talk about that I do hand embroidery. So I put a piece that I made myself, and and on the other side, it was just little like plant, and it didn't have any reason. It just to make my background beautiful. But make sure that it's at your eye level. If you are planning to put something in your background, turn on your camera. Make sure if it is in within the screen area. Also, get your camera earlier and practice and turn it on before your interviews. Make sure it is working. If it is working, like I brought one camera and it was too much zoomed in. Like there was no setting to zoom it out, but then like I it was only covering until here. So that's when I realized that I need to get a new camera. So make sure you have everything ready. Your mic, your headphones are working. If you're using ring light, then make sure it's not too bright as well, because it will reflect on your skin, and it gives that annoying face. So make sure it's on like medium level. Even before interview, if you have someone who can help you out, try to turn on and ask them if everything is well. They can see you. Camera and mics are connected. And in background, if you just want to go with the white background, that is also fine, but I just went with something that even if I get asked, I want to be able to talk about it. So,
Well, thank you very much, Ishani. This was excellent. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it. And I hope you can join us for more webinars. So thank you again. You are very busy. So I appreciate spending some time with us.
Thank you so much, Pawan, for inviting me here. And good luck, everyone, for your season. And I hope everyone who has joined here, everyone matched, and I hear good news very soon.
Thank you. Thank you. And to our audience, as she's leaving, I will answer some questions and then we'll have our next speaker, Dr. Aditya, also join in a few minutes. So if you have questions, feel free to put in as we wait for the next speaker as well. Meanwhile, I will start the questions. When will this year interview start? So interviews, like she also mentioned, you can start getting maybe in 2 days, but the actual interviews maybe around 10th October or so. How do we tackle abstract questions? So you'll have to give me an example that what is an abstract question, and then maybe we can talk about it. Does outpatient, inpatient clinical rotations have impact on match? No, I mean, there are a lot of students, frankly, who've not been able to do inpatient rotations because they graduated or things like that. They couldn't travel. I don't think it will impact that much, so even students, especially IM, you're probably asking about IM. So outpatient rotations should be fine. After the match in March, when does the PG1 start? This will be invariably July 1st. So you can say July 1st of 2025, but orientation, programs can start orientation maybe 15 days prior, so 15th of June, and you need to come here, settle down, etc. So if you're planning that travel, give about 15 to 20 days before July 1st. Okay. Is research more important than observerships during the match? I guess you are asking during the matching season. It depends on what you are lacking in your profile. So if you're lacking something, then focus on that. Okay. Okay. So other questions which you want to put in is fine. I am here. I'll answer. But yes, we do have a lot of blogs that we are making live. So it is on our website. Sonia, if you can put the link to the blogs as we are starting the interview season. So there'll be, we have blogs on common interview questions that you can read. I mean, questions are easily available, so all these questions, how to start preparing, what do programs look for when they invite you for the interview. So there is the NRMP program director survey as well. So as you start preparing for the interviews, it is important for you to know, like Ishani also said, what are programs looking for? That is important. You can start off with the common interview questions. Tell me something about yourself and things like that. And we have extensive classes that we have already started. We are going to be continuing these classes, these interactive sessions till at least December. So you practice each and every question, you get feedback, about 35, 40 hours of classes. Okay, so let's see other questions. I'm applying for a program that says it requires less than 3 years YOG. I have more than 4. Should I apply? So if they say, so this is the trick, right? If they say we only consider less than 3 years YOG, then I think it's a waste to apply. If they say we prefer, then probably you can take your chances. It also depends on certain factors, your scores. If the scores are high enough for your specialty, I think YOG can be a soft filter. The other could be if you, during the season, as we've been telling, you've been in touch with the program, maybe you've done enough outreach, etc., then you can apply also. What kind of questions can I ask in the interview if I get a chance? So it's a very good question. a lot of students think of interview as a Q&A. So ideally, like Ishani also said, a conversational interview is the best. Now, what kind of questions when you ask the program is always a conversation. So first, it depends on what happened during the day, the morning of the interview, because the program would have presented, program director may have presented a lot of things, information, so don't repeat it, right? But then you can talk about other aspects like rotations, away rotations, for example, what kind of experience, they may have simulation labs to talk about those experiences. So you can ask, it depends on the program. I think what you have to do is you have to be prepared to research the program. Program research will throw out a lot of questions for you. Don't repeat it, and don't ask questions which are, I would say, uncomfortable. Financial issues that the program is facing or things like that. If the program says USC is preferred, but I don't have any USC, can you still apply? You can apply, but again, depending on the specialty, any USC, or if you have no USC, it could be a problem. Having at least tele-rotations help. So, official IRAS page mentioned no interviews in the month of October. Is that work for all programs this year? I am not sure, because programs will interview in October. Probably they have changed this. I need to look at it, but programs it's all remote. Maybe some specialties are not interviewing in October. That always can happen. But I don't know if it applies to all specialties. I mean, every year there have been interviews in October. So the best way to tackle the question, tell me who you are. Okay, so that's an interesting question. It is a version of tell me something about yourself. But here, what they are trying to assess is not the chronology of, I went to med school here, high school here, all of that. They are looking at very specifically who you are as a person. So what skills and experiences you bring that will help us as in the program, that will help us if we hire you, and B, why, what skills and experiences differentiate you from other applicants. So it's a version on that. They want to know more about your personality. I want to be a surgeon, and surgery, like hardly IMGs match. I think this is one question. So surgery is hard, but it's opening up. A lot of IMGs are matching in surgery, but what happens is most of them have to go through the preliminary year. So it's not totally impossible. I think you have a fair shot if you have good scores. When given a chance to talk during the interview, is it advisable to speak until you are stopped, or better to give relatively short answers? So we teach all of that in our classes, what to say, how to say, how much to say. Like Ishani also said, she was our student, and 90 seconds is what we recommend. With that, let me stop, because I do have our next speaker, Dr. Aditya Chanpura. He was also our student, and he is now PG1 in neurology. Aditya, hopefully you can hear me.
And yes, I can hear you.
So welcome, Aditya. And, they've been all patiently waiting for you. So what we wanted to do, Aditya, was first get to know you a bit more, although of course, many of our audience know you very well. You are a very, very inspiring speaker. And two, it's been what, 2.5 years into your residency. So tell us something about what, the transition, what challenges you faced, maybe, driving. Ishani had a challenge of learning to drive, and also just, as you settle down in residency, what challenges you faced, and then we'll get into the interview preparation kind of things. So
Sure.
welcome.
Thank you so much for the introduction, Dr. Khera. So, my name is Dr. Aditya Chanpura, and I am currently a resident at SUNY Downstate. I matched in neurology. And so this is really interesting to see how we transition into a residency in the US, coming from different nations, of course. And the things are, in a way, medicine is the same, the practice is the same, but the way of looking at things and culture is different. And I think I can speak for people from India because I know how we are, what we are used to back there. So one of the ideas over there is that we usually do not question our seniors, or we do not speak up when we are rounding with the attendings. We are usually listening to them, and we don't actually develop much. I mean, we have a lot of opinions, I'm sure everyone has it, but we don't say it out loud. And that is one thing which is very different when we come over here. People here actually appreciate if you have your own thoughts, if you have developed a thought patterns, if you have a clarity about your patient, and if you have a plan. So this is the thing which is different from our country and here, is that you have to speak up. Because if you are spending your time just on the rotation, and if you don't speak up, people are not going to notice you. That is actually sad in a way, because we have amazing scores, and still, by being here, and if we don't know how to portray that in front of other people, then we are at loss. Because other people, especially people from other nations, they are really good at it, and they speak up. So we have to make sure of that. And that was one of the challenge that I faced initially, that I was not speaking up as much as I should have. I was not sharing my ideas and thoughts. And once I started doing that, I think it has really helped me in being more confident about myself in every way. And it has improved my lives in every aspect, not only at the rotation, but also during residency, also in front of family, in front of your friends. You will see that change in overall across all the spectrum in your life. So that is something which has changed in me, coming from India to here. So I'm really grateful to the US for giving me a voice, I would say. And that is something that we all can work upon. And in this times, we are in a phase where expressing ourselves is really crucial, because you see the world is going into a direction where people are using it as a skill and making money out of it, which is extremely beneficial. And we have to make sure that we develop these skills and we can use it in every aspects of our lives. So that was my thoughts about that. But Dr. Khera, if you want,
No,
you can
this is
answer more
amazing,
questions.
and this is very, very, as someone said, very relatable. I think all of us have had these challenges. It's just, nothing good or bad. It is the way our cultures and some of the countries work, the way we come from. And I think when in Rome, do as Romans do.
Yeah.
So, US does encourage confidence and speaking up. And as long as you can balance it, as long as it does not come out that you are overshadowing, overpowering someone, I think it's an absolutely fantastic skill to have. And more importantly, the sooner you realize, like you have done, I think this will help you, like you said, in all phases of life. So absolutely, yes.
Coming back to this, I also I was asked this question during my interview as well. So the PD was from India and she specifically asked me this question. I told her. So I met her at the conference in the AAN and I told her that, you remember me? I was the shy guy who wouldn't speak out in front of you. I'm that guy. And it clicked and she remembered me. And then she asked me that, why do you think is that problem? Do you think that our culture and our upbringing does that? But I told her that no, this is not our cultural problem. This is a me problem. I am responsible for where I am and what I am doing, because in India there are exceptional individuals who are great at expressing themselves, and we cannot blame our culture or our upbringing. And if we start blaming ourselves for our shortcomings, we are going to come out of it sooner.
Yes.
So I think she really liked that answer, but this is just my 2 bits.
Oh, no. Absolutely, you're right. In the end, everyone is responsible for their own growth. So yes, absolutely. Okay, so let's now dive into the topics for today, and thank you again for your time. So first, as you probably are aware, this year IRA submission is 25th September. So the first question is, how soon should students start preparing for interviews, and why are the interviews an important part of the math journey?
Really honest, I think that you are already on your way towards the interview and your preparation has started long back. It is not something which is going to start. It is the way you are leading your life. And I think that being very critically aware of yourself and your personal statement and ERA CV is very crucial, because it is like a story or a movie. So when you have to portray it in front of them, and they will read through that information and they will have ideas or assumptions about you. And the second step will be the way you represent it in front of them. It does not matter that your preparations, you are neither too late or too soon to begin your preparation. I think the step in moving forward with this is being honest with the interviewer and honest to yourself, and try to express yourself completely, and do not try to hesitate in that, will I look good if I say something? Here people are not that judgmental. We have this notion of being judgmental about other people and about ourselves. I think be expressive and please portray yourself as you are, instead of being trying to be something or someone else. If you are being honest, people will see that. Like I can pick those things in people if they are trying to, do something or trying to be something that they are not. So if I am good at it, people have 15-20 years of experience they can look through. So I would say that just be honest, and it will take you long. Though it will not, sometimes it may not, people will tell you it doesn't look mature or it is immature. Don't care about that. As long as you are honest, you are mature enough, and you don't have to care about other things.
Okay.
So you can start as soon as, and I think one really important thing is practice is very crucial in this. I know a friend who he did interview practice just with one of his friend, and he used to do it every day. Like he made a list of questions and they would just spend 2 hours every day on Zoom talking to each other and give different answers about the same questions. And they would see that, how do I look doing this? And you know where he is right now? He's at Cleveland Clinic. Like he's at the top institute just by talking to one person, answering the same question in different ways. So he told me this, that when I went into the interview, it was like a regular conversation that I was going to have with my friend. So the practice is just about this, that it will be a regular thing for you. And once you are into the skin of it, you are that. And no one can separate you from that, and you will ace it. So that
So I
is-
think the just picking up on this point, I think the main thing is practice is important. And like you said with your friend, if someone can spend 2 hours each day for maybe a month or 20 days, that is more than enough, right? So
Yeah.
that is where a lot of people fail, because they don't spend time, or they think they read the question, okay, in their head they are thinking I will answer like that, but they don't speak up. So unless you speak up, unless you make a conscious effort of practicing maybe 1 hour, whatever it is, every day, you don't improve. So that, I think, is fairly great for your friend who could take out this time.
And
So
just having conversation, and
yes,
interview is also about that. Those 15
correct.
minutes that you are going to spend with them is about them knowing you as a person, and not as a doctor or how fantastic scientist you are. They don't really care about that. They are
Yeah.
just seeing that, are you honest? Are you lying or not? Like, who are you? That's what they are trying to know, and that builds a connection with people.
Yeah.
It's never about your skills. It's just about the kind of a human being you are. So that is why I try to tell everyone, whoever I get a chance to say to, that please be true and honest with yourself and with them, and you're you're more than halfway there.
Okay. So, but then, there are students who say, okay, and we have classes on that, as you know, we practice a bit. But students who are starting, are there common questions, regardless of whether it's a conversation or not, that they should be aware that they
Yeah.
need to, talk about these? So what are some of these common?
So these are really common questions. Like, if I don't know anyone, then I would start off with, tell me about yourself. And they are trying to see that what are you trying to tell them. And they will kind of pick up on those things and start asking you questions, because it is a very monotonous process for them as well. And if you are applying for XYZ field, they want to see that what makes you interested in that particular field. So that is something, then you are changing your whole country. If you have a background in your country, they are going to ask you questions that, what did you do there? Tell me what makes you leave all of that and come to the US. What is the reason that US attracts you so much that you're trying to leave your family and friends behind and you are trying to come here? So these are the common things that they would ask. If that area, like, why do you want to come to my college, like, or my university? That is a very common question, that that what makes you interested in them, or what is something that you're looking for in a city, or what kind of a climate do you want to live in? So those are the geographical questions which come into picture as well, on which you can base your answers.
Yeah.
Or if you have some family in that area, you can do that. Things
And
like that.
okay, so then the other thing is, of course, be yourself, be true to yourself, but people still make mistakes in the interview, right? What
Yeah.
are the most common bloopers, mistakes that they should avoid?
I think the most common mistake is they think that they are not good enough, which starts from there. And because of that, they are not able to answer questions. I'm sure out of 10, 9 people have this feeling that after answering the question, they are like, oh no, now they are thinking, I should have answered this in this way. I could have told him this, I could have told him that. But at that moment, they blank out and they lose that. So that can be overcome by practicing. So think about those answers before going into the interview. And I have practiced one answer for 10 times, which I thought that if I tell something like this to them, I'll shine out. And I would practice in the mirror, not even with my friend, that I'm going to say this, and it worked out for me. So everyone has a different way. I think practice is really crucial. And some other mistakes that you could make is maybe people think about this thing that you will come out as too overconfident. I mean, that's okay. I would say being overconfident is better than being underconfident because you won't even attempt without that. So if some program doesn't appreciate our overconfidence, I'm sure someone will. And someone will look and pick you up for who you are. You don't have to tone yourself down for others. Be who you are. And just practice on that and be confident when you're going. If someone doesn't pick you up, it is their loss. It is not your loss. Just keep that in mind.
Yeah, that's a great mindset. Yes. And I've always liked your positive mindset. So, yes. So then I guess the last question I have for you today before I let you go is we are all in virtual environment and I can see your background as well. So tell our students in terms of audio, video, lighting, that attire, professional attire, how important is that and what should they be doing?
First thing is you have to dress crisp, even if you are at home. And because when you look at yourself in the mirror and you are well dressed, I would also put perfume on myself to make sure that I am there. Even if I am on the screen, I would put perfume on myself. I have to feel confident on that day. So dressing up is really crucial. The other thing about the background. So I see a lot of people have interests in different things like art or something like that. I think we need to wear a suit.
Yes, I'm
And
looking at that question.
so the background, so some people like to put plants. So that leads up to some conversation. So background is important in a way where, you have things to talk about. Like if you like a painting for like Mona Lisa and you keep it over there. And if someone likes Mona Lisa, it strikes a conversation. Some backgrounds like plants can give a very soothing feeling to your background, which helps in a way. It gives a positive vibe in the interview. So these things are definitely crucial. And what else do we? Oh, yes, the lighting should be good because we need to be visible during the interview. And sound, of course, we have to be clear. So we check that before we get into it, that our microphones or whatever instruments we are using are on point. If there is nighttime in India, we make sure beforehand that how is the spot where we are going to sit looking in the light. So these things are crucial when it is a virtual interview. I'm sure some of the programs are now transitioning into
On-site.
in-person interviews as well. So you have to be prepared for the travel and everything.
Yeah.
Those are a few bit for things.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much, Aditya. As usual, very, very inspirational. Any last minute tips you have for our audience who may be starting, submitting the IRAS on 25th and then the last phase of this match journey?
One thing is, before going into the interview, know your CV and personal statement really well before going into the interview. Because if they will try to test you in different ways. Like I put a factor, like I will give you an example that I put yoga into my CV as a meaningful experience. But now, how they would question me is, tell me, what do you do in stressful situations? So they are trying to see if I am bringing it up or not. So whenever you have to be very, very aware of what you have written in your CV. And when you are also answering the questions, you have to be aware of that what are they going to, then they will ask you to score yourself. That tell me how much do you think that your stress management skills are. So things like that. So keep that in mind while going into it. And at the end of the day, if they don't pick you, it is their loss. And you have to believe in yourself. And match is going to happen this year, next year, whenever, but you just keep fighting.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much, Aditya. Appreciate your time. And again, hopefully we'll see you in one of the other webinars. So
Yeah, for
thank
sure,
you
Dr.
and
Thank
good
you so
luck
much for
in
the
your
opportunity.
PG1.
It was wonderful to meet all of you and good luck to everyone.
Thank you.
Mhm.
All right. So as we say thank you to Aditya, let me read the questions and I will answer those. Is it okay to display my 4-year-old son's artwork behind me on a virtual interview? Yes, absolutely. Everyone wants to know more about you, and your son, your family is part of you. So absolutely, there is no issue. Don't feel compelled not to. Yes, you can talk about it. Technical challenges, Wi-Fi or electricity outage. Yes, that is a very, very big issue, but it is something you cannot control. And the way to do it would be, again, things you cannot control. So you just have to apologize, maybe connect with the program coordinator. First, have a backup, right? So let's minimize these challenges. So whether it's if you are, let's say, outside, most of these issues come out only outside US. So even in US, of course, there can be Wi-Fi outages, but have backups, as in, maybe those generators or whatever you use in your country. Maybe have a phone also ready. Maybe you have a local plan that in case of emergency, you can connect with the program coordinator, etc. But if you really, really cannot, control some of these, you have nothing else to do but to apologize profusely, get in touch with the coordinator. Things happen and they understand, but that's just unlucky. That's all. As long as you apologize, you are aware, then you should be fine. What is the last date of interview we can expect in the season? So that's a good question. Interviews, most of the interviews would have gone out by middle of December. Most programs across specialties would have filled up the spots. Interviews do happen in January, in Feb also. Now, there are some new programs that will also pop up, and these new programs, depending on when they come. So January, I would say very few interviews will come Jan and Feb, only new programs. Also cancellations, if people pre-match, they may cancel the interviews. So do you need to wear a suit for the interview? Yes, absolutely, as both our speakers mentioned. Then let me also get to some other questions. For an IM applicant, how many programs should I apply to? Depending on the profile, of course, but in IM, I guess 150 is bare minimum. Can volunteering in a particular specialty in private doctor chamber boost CV? Yeah, it always helps, so it can help you for sure. How to speak about step exam red flags. So this is something we talk about in our classes. So, how do you talk about red flags? What type of red flags? I think the way they are looking at it is your learnings. It's not so much about I failed this exam. That's okay. And, you will have reasons, but how you improved what you learned and how you're making sure that those learnings stay with you is the point they are trying to get to. Is it a good thing to signal new programs? Yes, of course. Signaling depends on a lot of factors, and if you feel a new program is fitting those criteria. So, for example, your scores criteria, maybe you had rotated there, maybe you know people there. All that can be accounted for. Yes, so you can signal new programs. Why not? Let me see any other questions before we wrap up. In mistakes you have done, does it mean mistakes in medicine or life in general? It could be any. It could be anything. It just depends on how you take it, what is the most compelling response you can give. Again, if you guys are interested, in fact, there are a lot of blogs. So, Sonia from my team can post some blogs that we have on our website. And of course, if you are interested in the classes, we have those as well. And for those of you who are going into the match next season, if you want rotations or research or things like that, of course, as you are preparing, we have it, for you in October, November, etc. These are good months to start rotations, just because these preceptors have more availability during these months, and you can get much better experience with them. With that, I think we are coming to an end of this session. So we will have more and more of these interview prep sessions as we get into the season. So, make sure to follow us on our YouTube channel, and then maybe Sonia or Sneha, you can post that link, and our Instagram, where we'll definitely put more information on the upcoming season as well. Okay. So, if there's nothing else, thank you. And I'll see you in one of the other webinars later on. Thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. We hope that video provided valuable insights for your journey. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Instagram and Twitter. And check out our website for details on how we can guide you to a successful match.